Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Jamie. I read a lot of books, a ton of books, and I am kind of chilling this month actually. After our team won the amazing Readathon. Yay! It's been a while since I was on a winning team, so that was fun. I finished a lot of books, and it was great. I actually didn't finish as many books this TAR as I did last year for TAR. Partly because that the 48-hour special weekend was structured differently, so it wasn't really as advantageous to just do all the novellas I could scare up that were classics and not read yet, which is what I did last year. And I finished a bunch of novellas. It was great. Checked off a lot of books I'd meant to get to anyway, so I wasn't just randomly reading novellas. But it did mean that I got a whole bunch of books in one weekend to add to my totals. This time it was a board game. You roll the dice and figure out where you land each time. So you couldn't just make a playlist and play it. You'd have to know what you're going to land on for each one. And I chose to not just do all my rolls at once. So we still won. It was fun. I don't know. I'm not that driven to get the highest number. Anyway, I never am. I just read a lot. So anyway, after that, I wouldn't say that I'm burned out, but I don't need to do that intense reading session this month. The readathon I'm doing is the tarot readathon. I am also signed up for Resetathon. At least I'm on the Discord and hang out in sprints and stuff. But it's not really a hardcore readathon. It's not competitive. Tarot readathon is at least teams, but it's still a casual readathon. I log the books that I finish when I finish them for the card that I drew that started me reading them, and I draw a card when I think of it and get my daily points. I'm really bad about that, but I do. And I do actually have a tarot card deck because I got one for my birthday from Coda. They're cute. They're very small because I didn't put any high dollar items on my wish list. All of them were probably about the same kind of cards, like little ones that you could carry with you and just do for fun. But they have cats on them, which is what made them on my wish list. So I actually do have a deck, and it is the full deck, major arcana and minor. So that's nice. But it's kind of just a thing. And then I did actually finally look at the hardest reading challenge you will ever do, 2.0, and did sign up. I didn't do it the last year, the 1.0, because so many of the prompts felt like something where, as a person with practically no money, they weren't geared to me. And I know that wasn't an intentional anything. It was just, most people are not as, absolutely incomeless as I am. So, not a surprise, just wasn't for me last year. This year there's not really like prompts where you're supposed to be, buying books and, supporting local bookstores by buying books and stuff like that. I don't have anything against that. I just don't have the funds. So this year, I can do all the prompts. I don't feel like any of them are going to be a strain on my capabilities, my resources. So, I'm going for it. It's a year-long Technically, it starts on Cory Q's birthday. She's the gal that runs the Readathon, as far as I know. I don't know much about it beyond that, but she's the one whose announcement video I saw, and it seemed like it was actually her event, so I'm gonna go with it. Anyway, I will know much more by the end of the year because I'm committed. I'm signed up. I need to log some books, but I'm going to wait till I get one whole prompt done to log the books for that prompt, so I can keep track of what I've done and whether I really want to use those books for those prompts. Because for that one, each prompt represents several books in most cases. So like the rainbow prompt is a book for each of the colors specified for the rainbow. And you have to do all of them to check off that prompt. There's one for like the hundreds. So a book each for the 100 range, 200 range, 300 range, 400, 500, and 600 and 700 plus range of page numbers. So that's actually the one I'm starting with, because on Storygraph, that's the one at the top of the list. I might as well just go with that and go from there. I'm being very casual as far as what I actually read when, with the exception that Dewey's comes up this Friday. One of the prompts is to see how many books you can finish in 24 hours. Once you go to sleep, that's it. So 24 hours, ideally, that you're awake, through the whole thing. Or if you can't make it to 24 hours, then I guess that's as many hours as you can read in 24 hours. But I'm going to be up anyway. I run the thing. So I'm going to try and get that prompt checked off by the end of the weekend. I do have bookstore shift near the end of the Readathon hours, like hours 18 through 22 or something like that. So I will be actually away from my computer for 4 whole hours at work, having had no sleep. It should be exciting. Yeah. So that's the one thing that I actually have planned for doing that reading challenge. And we'll see how much I finish. I need to actually put a TBR together, and I might do that in this video, just so I have something that's actually a TBR. I also am going to show off in this video some of what I'm reading for next month, because I've been upping my game in the history department at our bookstore. That's my subject area. I've been doing a great reorganization, the equivalent of take all the books off the shelves, pile them in the middle of the floor, and redo it, except that the bookstore has to be shoppable in between my shifts. So I have to construct stopping points where the books are actually magically back on the shelves, but in an improved format each time I finish a shift. So it'll take probably one more shift to get everything where it has a home, and then I can sort all of the miscellaneous history books into the homes that I've designated for them. So I've been having so much fun sorting the history books. But there are certain history books that there's a lot of copies of. And being relatively new to this kind of immersion in the history publishing world, I don't know a lot of the publishers or the history of the history books kind of stuff. I've been watching the History Channel. No, I don't remember her name. There's actually a Coloradoan booktuber. Well, I'll put her in the description because I've been watching her stuff. She's all about history, like History Bookshelf or something like that. Our tastes are a bit different. Our backgrounds are different. So some of the books that she's into and some of the topics she's into, I don't read. But still, it's all about history books. So I've been watching hers a lot and finding out a little bit more about the books that are coming out and the authors to watch for, that kind of stuff. I really should watch like Steve Donahue and some of the other folks that I know read more biographies and history books too. I haven't been watching much of any booktube lately. So, but one of the books that we get a lot of copies of is Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin. This is what it looks like, and we have lots of copies come in, which means that people in our town own this book. And a lot of them donate it, hopefully having read it, I don't know. But we only can keep so many copies in the bookstore. We're not that big. So a lot of them end up going to an online format kind of book thing that we send the books there, and then we don't have to deal with them anymore, but they still are finding homes. And so the extras are not being wasted. But for next month, I'm designating this book and Undaunted Courage by Stephen E. Ambrose. Ambrose, I know, is one that's prolific. We have a lot of his books on the shelves. This one we have a lot of copies of. So Undaunted Courage is subtitle Meriwether Lewis, Thomas Jefferson, and the Opening of the American West. So that sounds interesting. I would imagine it's Lewis and Clark and that kind of stuff. So this one's one of the books I've designated for my new book club. If you guys want to join in, that's great. This is actually something I'm doing in real life. But it's not going to be a sit-down book club. It's going to be, these are the books we're reading this month. If you have them, read them. Let us know what you think of them. If you already have read them, I'm going to make little like preloaded index cards for people to fill out their reactions. And then we can display them with the books in the history department. So I'm going to do that for Team of Rivals as well. The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln. So this one will actually dovetail nicely with my other special project that I'm working on for next month. So this month I did a Hamilton shelf because I got slightly obsessed, as in Hamilton and its subject matter became my special interest with a capital S after July 4th. So I made a Hamilton shelf in the history section, and that actually spawned this whole reorganization because I realized some sections I didn't have and stuff like that. But next month, that shelf is going to be Civil War themed. And what I'm going to do is actually build the shelf around a work of pop culture, so fiction or fiction-ish. Hamilton being more or less history, but they did tweak a few things to make it work for the story in a musical. So it's fictionalized. The sisters did in fact have a brother, and there's things like that they changed them so it would be more piquant for the musical story, so it works better. So it doesn't drag on for 3 hours or something. But it's still more history than not. This next one's going to be Gone with the Wind and Jubilee by Margaret Walker, which I need to read, so I'm going to read this one this month as well. And they're going to be the central focus around which I build a shelf that is like all the history books to give you the background and the extensions on what the books are talking about. And every month or so, I'm going to pick a new historical fiction, 1 or 2 books, and do this around them. I'm tempted to do the one that I'm currently listening to, but I don't know if we're going to get it at the used bookstore until maybe next year, because it just came out. We do get new releases because people, read them or start them and DNF them or whatever. So we may get copies sooner than I think, but I've not seen it in the wild in print yet. I'm listening to The Antidote by Karen Russell. Karen Russell had another book, Swamplandia, that was a finalist for the Pulitzer, and I think it was on other prize lists. I don't remember. I know I've heard of it more than just with the Pulitzer. So my guess is The Antidote will probably wind up on prize lists, because it is really good. It feels like that quality of book that if it doesn't end up on prize lists, there's a problem with the prize lists. So if you're looking for books to read to preload your prize list reading for the next rounds, definitely check out The Antidote by Karen Russell. Just a guess, but if you read it, you might not have to read it in a time crunch for a prize list, is my guess. Because it's really good. It's set in Nebraska during the Dust Bowl, and it has magical realism, and in particular, it has witches that can store your memories for you so that you don't have to remember them, and then you can come and reclaim them when you feel like you want them back. So it's really cool. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm tempted, if I get copies of that at the bookstore, to claim one or two for the history shelf and build something around the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, because that would be a great history shelf. I'm also currently reading 2 books that are on my stack for the 100s for the hardest reading challenge you've ever done. This one is my long book, The Room Where It Happened by John Bolton. Let's see which long book it is, though. It is without the index and the notes, so I don't count those for page numbers. It is about 500 pages, 400 something, 500. Yeah, so it's not super long, because it has notes and an index and stuff. So this is one of my 100 books for 400 page, I think. And then for 600 pages, I think this is the one I pulled for 600. Just One Evil Act by Elizabeth George. I haven't read from this series in so long, so I need to get back into it. This is Inspector Lindley, and it's been a while, so I need to get back into it. I might have to actually skim some of the earlier books or something. Anyway, so in addition to this stuff, I am getting ready for ARC August. So for ARC August, I am a team leader along with 2 other people, Shantel and, hold on a minute. That's why I don't know who my other team leader's name is, because on Discord they're just whimsical narratives, and at the moment I don't remember what their name is when they're not whimsical narratives. Anyway, if I figure it out before I post this video, I will put it in the description. I'm so bad with names. I know Shantel because she was a host for Kooky Mayhem, and I was sort of a moderator / perpetual sprint guest for a lot of that. So I don't think we ever did sprints where she was hosting and I was her guest, but we've been on screen together a couple times. So yeah. But I don't think I've interacted with whimsical narratives yet. I don't think so. So that will be fun. Because I discovered during Cookie, I like meeting people through these things and actually getting to know them better. Yeah, who knew? So we are leading the team Azure Tides, and we have special prompts that we get for our team. Our prompts are to read a book that surprised you, something you weren't expecting to enjoy, or a hidden gem. Read a book that you think will calm or soothe you. Read a book that stays with you long after you finish. And our bonus is read a book by the ocean or with a beach or tide setting. So there's a whole bunch of rules and procedures and stuff that go in with this Arc August game. It's gotten intricate. I think it'll all come together and make perfect sense once we actually get into it. I think partly my brain is overwhelmed after coming off TAR. So I'm waiting until I've caught up a little bit post-TAR before I try to explain anything with rules. So I will put the link for the announcement for Arc August in the description for sure. If you want to join, and you should join my team because it'll be fun. But if not, there's actually a team for people that don't care about points and just want to participate. So if you like that idea, you don't have to join my team. You could just join that team and then you don't have to worry about the points and just, play along. Arc August is all about reading arcs. An arc is an advanced reader copy. I used to get all my arcs in print through Goodreads giveaways. And they were usually arcs or galleys or sometimes finished copies. But this part of the book world is where they give away a copy of the book so that they can drum up interest in it. Because over the decades, marketers have learned that word of mouth sells stuff. And with books especially, because there's so much nuance to them, the more people can tell their friends, this is a great book, the more they're going to get interest in their book, especially with so much competition from so many other books. So they benefit from giving people early access to the book. And on sites like NetGalley and Edelweiss, and there are a couple others. There's one that's more indie-oriented that I've heard mentioned a couple times. I'm sticking with NetGalley. I do have an account on Edelweiss, but I haven't used it in forever. But I don't get any audiobooks through NetGalley, just ebooks. It's about the only time I read ebooks. And you don't get to keep it. You're just getting early access. So it's a timed file. There are ways to get around that if you're using Kindle, but it's not like they're handing you free books. So it's less money out of their pocket. And if you love the book, you're probably going to go out and get an actual copy of the book. So they might have just sold you on the book and you're just going to reread it with a print copy. So it makes perfect sense from the publisher's end, and especially for indie and small pub books. This is how they get the word out that their books are really cool, because then they get fans who then tell everybody about their book. And I don't know how many buddy reads are popping up through all this. I don't remember exactly where buddy reads might fit into all this, if there's a prompt or something. I wouldn't be surprised if there is, because I haven't really looked for that. since I thought of it. But there are buddy reads popping up. I have a copy of The Midnight Muse by Joe Kaplan. And turns out several of my friends do too, or have put in requests for it. So I'm holding off on actually reading it. I started it last week, but I didn't get very far into it because I was just, testing it. And then it turns out that everybody else has it too. So we're going to buddy read that one next month. And I've got a whole bunch of others. I have too many NetGalley arcs because once you've put your name in for it and they approve your request, or you choose a book that's read it now that you don't have to request, that's just available. Once you've added it to your list, you can't just make it go away. So you read it, or it counts against your percentage that you've completed. And your percentage, theoretically, is part of what determines whether you get other books when you request them. Like, I just requested the new Frida McFadden. I may or may not get it, and if I don't, it may be that I'm just not the profile that they're looking for to read it. If you've read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, that book actually does talk about the process in the back end of deciding who to grant books to, and they actually talk about granting wishes. If a book is not available, you can wish for it, and then they might grant your wish. I always do that for history books, and I'm sure they're thrilled that somebody actually wants to wish for history books, because I always get those. But I don't know exactly what weight the percentage has in actually determining what you get. So far, my percentages are always pretty low because I have a lot of books, and I get a lot of the big name authors that I request. So if you're leery of it because you're don't want to be graded or don't want to be on a timeline and all that kind of stuff, I'm not the poster child for what you're supposed to do with NetGalley. My percentage is around 33 or 34% right now because I have a whole bunch because I got more for Arc August. But I don't usually go above 50%. My goal is to get to 50% by the end of August. Yeah. And I'm having a blast. I get a lot of great books. One of my favorite murder mystery authors that I read a whole bunch of over COVID, actually, was Simon Brett. He has several series I really like. And he tends to make his available as Read It Now. Perhaps because he's a British author and on the US NetGalley site, maybe people just don't know who he is, which is fine because it means I can read the books before they've come out for all the series I've been following of his. So I have the new Mrs. Pargeter book. She's a widow. Her husband was a mob boss, a very well-loved mob boss who got bumped off by a rival. And so now she's got his little black book and she solves crimes using the contacts from his little black book, like his ghost is helping her solve these crimes. It's hilarious. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's a series that it wasn't clear if it was finished or if he was going to do any more to it, so I was excited to see that. So I'm looking forward to focusing on my arcs. I've been reading some, this month. Actually, the Antidote is one that I ran out of time for, and it's come out since, so I'm listening to the audiobook through the library so I can finally give feedback and check it off and keep it from counting against my percentage. And I just finished Picks and Shovels by Cory Doctorow, which is a fiction, kind of a tech business thriller that involves thugs and conspiracies and stuff like that, and Silicon Valley in its early days and stuff like that. And ties into the nonfiction I'm currently finishing up by him. Also an arc will be coming out, I think, next month, called Enshittification. That's about why and how all of our internet stuff and tech stuff gets so crappy after we buy in. And he lays out a strong argument for why this is actually a thing and it's intentional. And once they've roped you in, they put their money somewhere else so they can keep making money. And eventually they go too far and everybody moves on. Or they can't because they've locked you in so badly. And still, eventually a rival comes along and everybody leaves. So if you are looking for books about that kind of stuff, if you're grumbly because, oh my gosh, it's been how many decades and the internet still barely works most of the time for most of what we want it to do. If that is you, Enshittification by Cory Doctorow, and it's a great word, it's a real word. That will be coming out soonish, I think next month. It's nonfiction. Cory Doctorow writes all sorts of books about like internet and security and stuff like that. So really good stuff anyway. I've read several of his books. They're trying to kind of feel out what this modern world looks like with all this tech, and what are the pitfalls that we're not talking about and that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm prepping for ARC August. I'm getting ready for Dewey's Readathon. And yes, we are at 30-some minutes at the moment. So real quick, 24 hours, I can't possibly read more than 10 books in that time. I've learned that I'm running the Readathon. Like, I'm in charge of it. So I'm also doing admin. So I can't be finishing a book an hour. It doesn't happen. So let's say 12 books, just so I have some that I can pick and choose between them. And I'm going to include 3 new books that I've gotten recently, because I like to try and get the new books into the mix while they're still new. So I have The Stone Diaries by Carol Shields, which I think the book won the Pulitzer. Carol Shields did for sure in 95, but I think this did win it. So Stone Diaries, From the Realm of Morpheus by Stephen Millhauser. This one, Millhauser writes really good short stories. I've not read a novel yet, but I own one. I don't know if this is short stories or novels, but my sister turned me on to his books. And he's really good. So I adopted that one as one of my books. I get a free book for every 6 hours I work. So these 3 are some of the ones I've selected recently. H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald is on the Boxall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list as one of the recent ads from the last edition that came out. So these 3 are on my TBR for this weekend. I probably won't finish all 3, but I can make a dent, at least start 2 or maybe all 3 of them. Then let's do some murder mysteries. We've got Murder on High by Stephanie Matson, a Charlotte Graham mystery, which I don't know much about. It might be a climbing or hiking related book. I'm not sure with the title like that. We'll do a short one. This one is nonfiction. It's very short. On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century by Timothy Schneider, who is a name in political writing. So that's a nice, approachable little book. Let's see, what else we want to add? Kitten, hi! We'll do All Those Vanished Engines by Paul Park, which is very shiny. There we go. This one is sci-fi. Are you cute? You is. Do you want to say hi to the people? Do you need to say hi to the people because you're kitten? Okay, Vinny needs to say hi to the people. He says, hi, I'm a kitten. He's got a goopy eye, so he's still here. The other ones have gone to the shelter. He says, yeah, I got a goopy eye from the cold. Yeah. He is the sweetest feral kitten I've ever met. And as soon as he is no longer losing hair off his ears, and as soon as his eye is not goopy, he gets to go and find his own humans and stop chewing on the human here. Yeah. Oh my goodness, you're so cute. Yeah. Alright, you gonna help me pick my books? I need 6 more books. He likes to grab your face and then bite your nose. So, if you are looking for a kitten that likes to do that, and you're in the southern Colorado area, this could be your new buddy. He's a brat, but he's adorable. If you're not in my area, go check out the kittens at your local shelter. They're adorable. And even if you're not in the market for a kitten, I highly recommend fostering kittens. It's easier than you think. And it's actually easy to let them go after you've done it a few times, because you just have to imagine what it would be like if you kept them all. And yeah, it only takes a few iterations of that to be like, I would be exhausted. They get to go away. It's like being a preschool teacher. It's nice when they go home. Okay, kid. Let's put you over here. Yes, I know. You're super cute. Okay. Alright, so I have a couple books that were not quite complete. They were complete enough to count them. They were like 60%, that range, for TAR, for sightseeing prompts. That they were the ones I was reading at the very last week of the readathon. I have a kitten on my foot, by the way. Yeah. So these ones I will add to the TBR so I can finish them. Like, actually finish them. So I have Adaku and Other Stories by Ken Saro-Wiwa. Okay. Put the kitten away. We have I Married You for Happiness by Lily Tuck, whose new book I read as an ARC, and it was amazing. So this one I got to, I think, 70%, but it was nearer the beginning enough that I don't remember some of it. So I might have to backtrack and take the bookmark back a little bit and catch up. But if you see a new book by Lily Tuck, it would be about the Holocaust. It's a fictionalized story of 2 victims of the Holocaust. And it's really good. Depressing, but it uses a non-traditional formatting for some of the stuff, and like lists and things like that. To tell the story. It's really good. Anyway, so this one's going on the list so I can finish it, and I will probably have to go back and read like half of it again. This one, same thing. I was actually almost done with this one, but not quite. So I'll see where I left off on it. It may be a fast finish. But Prisoner B3087. This one, I believe, is about Polish people during the Holocaust. I think this is one that was Polish, but I'm not sure. But it is a prison camp survivor story. And yeah, both of those are dark. This one and the Lily Tuck, the new Lily Tuck. So they're kind of a theme, even though this actual Lily Tuck book is not. So eventually I'm going to probably do one of those special shelves that's Holocaust theme, but not next month. Maybe October. October is good for dark topics. So I'll think of that. Spiderwick book, The Worm King. This is book 3. I'm just going to read it because I would imagine if I've missed anything, I haven't missed that much. I read the first book, so I've only missed book 2. So I'm just going to read that one. The Twisted Thing by Mickey Spillane. A little bit of classic crime fiction. It's very short. And we'll do these two. Murder, Mayhem, and Monet by Karen Hudgens, which is a self-pub crime novel, I think. It's pretty, and it's very short. And then this one I might finish before then. Mrs. Caliban by Rachel Ingalls. And it's a weird cover. Yeah. This is the Mrs. Caliban. I adopted it because it is water damaged. It's badly warped. So, it's not stuck together, but we can't sell it. So, rather than just have it be recycled, I'm like, I'll read it first. But I have to admit that it's not in sellable condition anymore. So, I'm finishing it. I'll give it to my sister, and then it can go away. So I think that's going to be about as much of a TBR as anyone could reasonably expect to do in 24 hours. So, I usually do a lot bigger TBRs, and I usually don't finish them because it's not possible. So, that'll be it, I think. That'll be my TBR for Dewey's Readathon for this weekend. And some of them I do just have like a third of the book to read or half of the book to read if I have to go back. So I should finish about half of these, I figure. Maybe more. We'll see. And because a lot of them are short and I read fast, if I'm in good form, I could finish some of these in an hour to an hour and a half, based on my reading speed and the number of pages. So, yeah, I'm not going to say I'm going to finish them all during Dewey's. I might finish them all this weekend, though. That might be a fun challenge to actually try and clear this TBR. So, there we go. We accomplished something, and Kitten is no longer gnawing on my feet. Oh my gosh. So I think we're good. I will put all the links that I've said I'll put in the description. And I should try to actually catch up with you guys closer to the readathon. So that could be my plan. Maybe talk about some of the books I finished this month that I haven't talked about already, or in more detail if I feel like it. And then I will try to check in at least once, maybe kind of a short video check-in like I did last time for Dewey's. Because I liked that. I don't know who actually watches them, but it was fun. So you might see a lot of me this weekend. So, yeah. But I'm going to get back to my coffee. I've decided I like this mug. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any videos for the mug project. I know I talked about it earlier this year. I've been doing the mug project, though, in the background. And this is one that I thought I would just kind of keep it for a little while and send it on its way. because it's plastic. I don't know if it's microwavable plastic either. It's, you know, not something I usually stick in the microwave. But I hadn't realized till I put something colored in it that it's double walled. So it's like they took a ball of plastic and pushed the inner part in, so there's actually air between the inside and the outside. So it's really good insulated, and it looks cool, and the handle's actually comfortable. The rim is evil. If you try to carry it full, the rim is sloped wrong, so it all sloshes out on your feet. So not the best design, but I'm not getting rid of it because it's so well insulated. And my drink for tonight is coffee with actual like whipping cream in it, and a bit of sugar and almond extract, which makes it smell divine. So yeah, so I'm gonna get back to that. Probably get back to my audiobook, and I will catch you guys in a couple days close to Dewey's or to start off Dewey's. So hopefully you guys have a great week till then. I will put links for Dewey's in the description. So if you want to find Dewey's and join in with us, please do. It is fairly casual. The reverse readathon, which is what we're doing this round, is usually the most casual of our readathons. Everybody's doing so many things in this part of the year that the admins couldn't really do the kind of formal readathon that sometimes we do for the October one or the April one. And this is definitely true this time. In fact, I outsourced the bingo board making, kind of. I made some. I did end up making 2 bingo boards, but I also was like, hey, make bingo boards, share them, and invite people to use your board, and we'll see whose boards people like best. So I kind of outsourced even that part this time. I did end up not having to do jury duty, but there was a chance that on top of everything else I've been doing, I was going to have to be doing jury duty this week. They didn't need a jury after all, so I'm off the hook. But I only knew that last night. So, yeah. Dodged a bullet with that one. But yeah, so I have been not doing anything too structured for this one. We are doing the hourly sprints, or the hour-long sprints, the pre-scheduled ones. And there will be discussion questions, but it's not going to be as formal as the April one. Yeah, we're not really all that formal anymore. The last couple years we like casual. We like it where you're not stressing about it. It's just for fun. So, if that sounds like something you want to join, it is still 24 hours. I still am up the entire 24 hours. So it is one of those where if you want it to be that hardcore, we're here for you. I will be awake. You can keep me company. We start 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, the 17th of July. And go for 24 hours from that point. So, yeah. And I'm going to sign off before I get on yet another tangent. I will see you guys in the next video or on sprints somewhere between now and then. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!